School. It's me, Ms. McNichol. Welcome to episode number 11 of Goodnight, Jaworek School. If you remember, in episode number 1, I asked you all to try to become an ambassador of books, to share and tell people about books that you read and love. And I've heard many students start to do that here at Jaworek School. So today I found a book that's called Petunia, about a goose who shares what she learns from a book. I hope you'll enjoy the story. But before we hear it, let's take a look at some of the places you can find collections of books here at Jaworek School. Open a book and you will find people and places of every kind. Open a book and you can be anything that you want to be. Open a book and you can share wondrous worlds you find in there. Open a book and I will too. You read to me, and I'll read to you. Read to me riddles, and read to me rhymes. Read to me stories of magical times. Read to me tales about castles and kings. Read to me stories of fabulous things. Read to me pirates, and read to me knights. Read to me dragons and dragon book fights. Read to me spaceships and cowboys. And then, when you are finished, please read them again. Books to the ceiling, books to the sky. My pile of books is a mile high. How I love them, how I need them. I'll have a long beard by the time I read them. Petunia by Roger DeVoyson. Petunia. In the meadow, early one morning, Petunia, the silly goose, went strolling. She ate a bug here, clipped off a clover leaf there, and she picked at the dewdrops on the goldenrod leaves. Then, suddenly, she saw something she had never seen before in the meadow. What was it? Petunia stole closer and closer and sniffed at it from all sides. By goosey gander, she said, it does not smell like food for a goose, but I believe I have seen such a thing before. Yes, I have seen one under Bill's arm when he came out of school. It's a book. That's it, a book. Come to think of it, just the other day I heard Mr. Pumpkin telling Bill that books are very precious. He who owns books and loves them is wise. That is what he said. He who owns books and loves them is wise, repeated Petunia to herself, and she thought as hard as and as long as she could. Well, then, she said at last, if I take this book with me and love it, I will be wise too, and no one will call me a silly goose ever again. So Petunia picked up the book, and off she went with it. She slept with it, she swam with it, and knowing that she was so wise, Petunia also became proud and prouder and prouder, so proud that her neck stretched out several notches. It was King the rooster who first noticed the change in Petunia. He said, maybe Petunia is not so silly after all. She has a book, and she looks so wise that she must be so. And the other animals began to believe in Petunia's wisdom too. They asked her for advice and opinions, and Petunia was glad to help, even when she was not asked. Petunia grew still prouder, and her neck stretched out another notch. One day Petunia heard Clover the cow say to King the rooster, I wonder what makes your comb so red, King, as red as the barn. It's my blood, said King. It's the color of my blood. Nonsense, said Clover. I have blood too, but I'm not a red cow. Your comb has been dipped in red barn paint. That's what makes it so red. You are both silly, of course, said Petunia. King, your comb was stuck on by the farmer so he can tell you from the hens and know who lays eggs and who doesn't. Plastic comb, I'd say. So King never again shook his proud comb in song for fear it might fall off. Poor, sad rooster. But Petunia had other things to do. At the chicken coop, Ida the hen was cackling excitedly among her chicks. "Oh, Petunia," she said, "my chicks and I have been for a walk in the woods, and I think I've lost some of them. The farmer says I had 9, but I can't count so very well. Please, wise Petunia, count my chicks to see if they're all here." "Glad to help," said Petunia. Let's see. 3 chicks at the fountain, 3 at the feeder, 3 about your legs. Now, 3 times 3, that makes 6. 6? Asked Ida. 6? Is that less than 9? "That's more than 9, not less," said Petunia. "Lots more, my dear." "More than 9? Goodness gracious, as if I hadn't enough worries with my own 9 chicks. And where do those other chicks come from? Oh dear, I'll never be happy again." Poor, worried Ida. But Petunia had other things to do. In the meadow, she discovered part of Noisy the dog sticking out of a hole in the ground. "Help, help," cried Noisy. "I stuck my head in this rabbit hole, and now it won't come out." "Glad to help," said Petunia. "It's a good thing I know what hunters do to get stubborn animals out of holes in the ground. They smoke them out. Wait until I fetch some sticks and some matches." And so wise Petunia built a fire in the other end of the hole and fanned it well with the book. Her trick worked nicely. Noisy, choked with smoke, jerked his head out of the hole and ran off howling with pain. His nose was singed with the fire, and his ears were cut and bruised. Poor, moaning dog. But Petunia had other things to do. Beside the hedgerow, she met Straw the horse, who was in pain from a toothache. "Petunia," groaned Straw, "I'm dying. Surely with your wisdom you can stop this horrible pain." "Glad to help," said Petunia. "Open your mouth. Why, you poor Straw, all these teeth. No wonder you have a toothache." But Straw would not wait for... "Look at me. Do I have teeth? Of course not. So I have no toothache. I am going to stop that pain right now. I am going to pull all those teeth out, all of them. Let me get some pliers." But Straw would not wait for the pliers. He was so afraid to lose his teeth that he never talked of his toothache to another soul. He suffered in silence. Poor, forlorn horse. But Petunia had other things to do. Cotton the kitten went up the tree, but could not come down. While he meowed and meowed, his friends called for Petunia. "Glad to help," said Petunia. "I know just what to do. Since none of you is tall enough to reach Cotton, all of you will do it together. Donkey on top of Clover, pig on top of donkey, and so on up. Simple." So Donkey climbed on top of Clover, pig on top of donkey, goat on top of pig, sheep on top of goat, piggy on top of sheep, turkey on top of piggy, duck on top of turkey, hen on top of duck. Suddenly, Clover cried out, "Stop! My legs feel wobbly," and she sat. And Donkey and the rest fell into a heap, and Cotton was so scared that he fell on top of them. They were all full of bumps. "Well," said Petunia, "Cotton is down." So he was. Poor, bruised Cotton. But Petunia had other things to do. Getting prouder all the time, she felt her neck stretch further out. She now wandered down the road, where she found some other friends gathered around a box. "Oh, wise Petunia," they shouted, "we found this box in the ditch beside the road. Maybe it's food, Petunia. Please tell us what the writing on it says." "Danger, firecrackers." "Glad to help," said Petunia. "Now let's see. Why, candies, that's what it says on that box. Yes, candies. You may eat them. Yes, of course." No sooner had Petunia given the word than 7 greedy mouths tore up the box and grabbed the candies out of it, and boom! What a sight the animals were. Some were burned, some were bruised. Straw still suffered in silence. Noisy still moaned. Ida still worried about her chicks. King still brooded over his comb. All the barnyard was in trouble, and all because of Petunia. Petunia's pride and wisdom had exploded with the firecrackers. Her neck had shrunk back to its old size and was all bandaged up. She was the most downhearted of all, for she saw now that she was not a bit wise. But suddenly Petunia spied the book. The firecrackers had blown it open so that the pages showed. She had never seen them before. Now she saw that there was something written inside the book which she could not read. So she sat down and thought and thought and thought until at last she sighed. Oh, now I understand. It was not enough to carry wisdom under my wing. I must put it in my mind and in my heart. And to do that, I must learn to read. Petunia was filled with joy at once she began to work so that one day she could be truly wise. Then she would help make her friends happy. The end. Good night, Jaworek School. Colored by Darcy Castaneda, a 4th grader here at Jaworek School. Late in the evening on Hosmer Street, where all the cool kids have been tapping a beat, they'll lay in their beds, not one of them a fool, when we all say goodnight to Jaworek School. We go to class and learn something new. We chat with our friends and our teachers too. We share our school spirit. We share what we know. Then just after 3 o'clock, it's time to go. In Jaworek School, at the end of the day, when all of the students have gone home to play, we close all the windows and put down our tools as we say good night to Jaworek School. Good night to the teachers. Good night to the halls. Good night to the artwork hanging on the walls. Good night to the books and our principals too. Good night to JJ, dressed all in blue. Good night to the gym where we climb and run. Good night to the playscape where we have fun. Good night to the numbers. Good night to the words. Good night to all of the stories we heard. In Jaworek School, at the end of the day, when all of the students have gone home to play, we close all the windows and put down our tools as we say good night to Jaworek School. Thank you, Darcy, for coloring our coloring book. See you next time, Jaworek School. And remember, you can't judge a book by its cover. Look inside and learn lots and be wise. Have a good night, everybody.